Hello and welcome to today's news on Vanguard Live. My name is Damola Ogunshaki and we'll start with Vanguard on the paper review. Vanguard is leading with retired policemen, protest a poor pension, welfare nationwide. Storm National Assembly seek exit from CPS. Protest also in Edo, Plateau, Kwara, Taraba, Cross River, as the Inspector General denies opposing exit from CPS. You can see that story on page 7 and on page 8. United States and Nigerians will prosecute ban visa fraudsters from entry. Warns Americans in Nigeria of looming visa overstay penalties. On page 10, defection rumor, I'm not leaving PDP. That's coming from Governor Adeleke. Citizenship, Kemi Badenoch displayed utter ignorance of law. That's coming from Falano. Terror financing, 730 cases successfully prosecuted. That's coming from Major General Laka. And at the top of the banner, we have Nigeria's economy grows by 3.13% in first quarter of 2025. And that's all on Vanguard. Away from that, we'll move to the Punch newspaper. The Punch leading story says Electricity Act fallout, Gencos, discos rage as states begin tariff courts. Enugu defends power bill supply, power bill slash as Ondo play two others joint tariff court. Gencos threatened showdown. You can see that on page 26. And the photo stories on the front page. We have pension revolts. Inspector General vows action after ex-police officers nationwide protest. Government shoots Nigerians dead in South Africa. Pages 4 and 5 have the story. On page 9, Awujale. Ogun government prepares for legal battle with IFA Council. Services sector fuels a 3.13% economic growth. And the top right corner newspaper, we have Nigeria now spends half its revenue and debt. That's coming from presidential panel. Lastly, on the Punch newspaper, businesses expert rate court as MPCs are reconvened today. You can see that story on page 26 of the Punch newspaper. Only this story says that states fail to utilize access 250 naira, 250 billion naira UBEC cash. And on page 2, Obi's 2023 running mate to contest for president in 2027. Abro-led the Labour Party reaffirms opposition to coalition. MBS report, Nigeria's rebased GDP grew by 3.13% in first quarter. Inspector General backs demand for better welfare by retired policemen. You can see that story on news page 2 of the Nation newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies. Join us after the break for a brief analysis of some of the stories. Welcome back. If you're just joining me, this is today the news on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki, and joining me to analyze some of the stories on the front pages this morning is Mr. Dayo Akitobi, publisher of Ilukweju Today, Lekki Today, and Ikeja GRA Today. Good morning, Mr. Dayo.
Good morning, Damilola. Good morning to all our viewers.
Right, thank you. And retired police officers stormed the street nationwide yesterday, protesting poor pension and other living conditions. And aside from Abuja, the protest took place in Edo, Plateau, Kwara, Taraba, Cross River State, among others. What do you think about this protest and what it says about our pensioners?
Well, I think it's a sad day that people who put their lives on the line to protect Nigerian lives and property, that they will now have to start begging like destitute people who for what is their right. I mean, I think it's really sad that they had to get to a point where they have to come out and protest. And the IGP was saying yesterday that he has met with them. Why didn't he meet with them before they protested? Why? I mean, he can't say he didn't know about this. The government can't say they were not aware. So it is really pitiful that those who served and are now aged and should be enjoying their retirement peacefully at home, at least with the minimum basic needs, human needs met, that they're now having to beg for what is their rights. It's really sad. As it is, we already complain that the police are not well remunerated enough compared to the risk that they take for us on a daily basis. So they've now served their tenure. some 25, some 30, some 40 years. They've now retired. At the time when they should be reaping the fruits of their labor, then they are now being starved of their pension, which is their right. Most pensions have this contributory scheme where they take money out. It's not a dash, they take money out of your salary. Then the government is supposed to match it and invest it for you so that by the time you retire, it would have blossomed into a larger amount. So they've actually deducted part of this money from these people's salary their entire career. Now it's time for them to retrieve the money. They are not being paid. It's not fair. It's not right.
Yes, but the average retired police officer takes home between 14,000 naira and 22,000 naira monthly as pension. What do you think about this price? This
when,
money?
when we talk about the minimum wage of 90,000, it's not even enough to meet the need of the very, very, very working class person in Nigeria. How can you expect anybody to now be able to get ahead with 20,000 naira or less? So that's why, even though they are retired, many of them cannot afford to retire. They are still finding ways in their old age to have to go and struggle. Many of them might be private security. You might find some of them driving Uber because the pension can't feed them and feed their family. Many of them are dependent on the largesse of children, grandchildren, and other relatives. They can't fend for themselves on their own with an 18,000 naira pension. So that money as it is not even adequate. And you are now not giving them, which now compounds the issue. Money that's not enough, you are not paying. When we should be talking about they've been paid and we are trying to find out to increase the money to a living pension, a living wage, a living pension. So it is really sad that it will take these people to come out into the street en masse to get the attention of the IG and the government. That's reactive. We shouldn't be reactive in things, matters of life and death, or things that have to do with sustenance and quality of life, especially for people who put their lives on the line for the average Nigerian. They don't ask questions. They don't care your religion, your creed, your color, your tribe, nothing. Once your life or property is threatened, they rise up to the task and they defend us. So the least we can do is to look after them and at least meet up to our obligations to them. I think it's really, really a sad day. You talked about what do I think about the money. It's already unforgivable that we're giving them that kind of pay. I heard somebody say if we pay police 500,000 per month, the lowest recruit 500,000 per month is not too much, and I agree. How do you quantify the fact that the person who is responsible for your life and your property is earning so much less than the person he's protecting? It doesn't add up.
So, do you view this protest as a tipping point for pension reform, or is it the only remaining avenue for the frustrated retirees?
Well, you see, pension reform, pension has always been a tricky issue, even in developed economies. I'll tell you why. Because it is a captive pool of funds that nobody is looking at. Because essentially, they are taking it and putting it away for your retirement. Those funds you might not need to call on them for 30, 40, 50 years. So it's sitting there in a pool. It's a big temptation for most governments. Most governments dip into it. They put an IOU and say, okay, we borrowed so many billion from pension fund. We'll pay it back. When it comes time to pay it back, it's always a problem. So invariably, they borrowed your money without telling you. And when it comes time to pay you back, they don't have it to pay. That's the problem. You know, there's laws that say, oh, pension funds cannot be touched except to be invested here, invested there. But who is the one that's regulating and overseeing it? It's government. So if they choose to borrow from it, who's going to stop them? So this is the issue. When you're talking about pension reform, I don't know how much more you can reform it. At one point, they did reform a few years ago where they had pencoms that were supposed to manage the funds, are supposed to be in the hand of government direct. Pencoms were supposed to manage the funds. Pencoms were supposed to stay on top of the employers to make sure they are contributing their own share. How much more reform do you want to do again? I don't understand. I just know that perhaps the only reform we should make is to make it voluntary so that people who don't trust government don't have to invest their money with government. I can be taking my own portion of my pension and be putting it in shares by myself. Let government not come. I don't trust government to manage my money and keep my money. So give me the freedom to manage my own money myself. So I will tell my employer from every paycheck, help me remove 20,000 and send it to so fund managers. And I will manage my pension myself. I will. The only issue, of course, is how do I ensure compliance by my employer that they match my own contribution. That's where government regulation comes in, is that they make sure that the employer matches my own contribution. If I were doing it on my own, I don't have the wherewithal or the power to compel my employer to comply. That's the only issue.
Well, some civil society groups and the PSC, they called the protest diversionary or politically motivated. What do you think about this claim?
We are very quick to always throw things under the table of politics when we don't want to face reality. We always politically inspired, what's politically motivated about pensioners coming out to complain that they've not been paid, they are starving? That's a fact of life. It's a reality. Is that the shoe is pinching these people. It's been pinching them for a long time, and now they can't take it anymore, so they have to speak up. And what other tool do you have to make your voice heard than protest? So they've been pushed to the wall. In fact, I think it took them too long to come out and talk. How can they? They've retired years ago, and up to now, they're not getting their regular pension. But they said they've been dialoguing with the police hierarchy, the police service commission. They've been making promises are not met. So they are pushed to the wall. They've come out to protest. I don't know what's politically motivated about that. Hunger does not know politics. Hunger only knows how to speak up and complain. And that's what has happened here. The people are hungry. So no politics involved as far as I'm concerned. It's just the reality of their circumstances that has pushed them to the wall and made them speak up. So government would do well to listen. I wish we had more proactive governments that would listen before strike. Why should we wait until things break down to the moment? Strikes are very disruptive. Protests, strike. Look at ASU. Every time ASU strikes, it's chaotic and it's disruptive. So why can't we prevent strikes and protests from happening by sitting down at the table before people get upset to the point of wanting to speak up? Why don't we address their needs before, not after? Why is it after the protest now that IGP is now saying, I've met with them, I've talked with them, they don't need to come out tomorrow again, we're working on their issue? Why didn't he say that last week? Why didn't he meet with them last week before they protested and stop the protest by assuring them he will sort them out? So I'm not happy, especially because it's the police. We see it's the people that defend us, the people that matter most to our human capital development: teachers, police, doctors, nurses. Have you noticed they are the ones who are always striking? Why? Because they are the ones we have paid the least attention to. The people that are most important in our human development are the ones we pay the least attention to. It's not good.
All right, let's move away from that. Most states, they've announced plans to reduce electricity tariffs in their jurisdiction after the Enugu Electricity Regulatory Commission issued a new tariff order to Main Power Electricity Distribution Limited. They revised the electricity cost for Band A customers from 209 naira per kilowatt to 116 naira effective August 1st, 2025. But however, power generation and distribution companies, they've opposed this. They claim that this move may cripple the sector, as Gencos declared that the industry now is indebted to power producers to the tune of over 5 trillion naira. What do you think about this, and why do you think more of the states are not willing to accept this?
Well, the whole purpose of decentralization, they decentralize this electricity generation, distribution. Each state has been given the wherewithal to sort out its own electricity, which is a good thing. That's what we've all been crying about, is let's devolve power from the center to the federating units. And now it's been done, but there's now an issue because Enugu State, for example, and many of the other states are saying we want to bring succor to our people. That's what government is there for. Government is there to reduce the hardship of the people and make our quality of life better. So Enugu State administration looked at it and said, Band-Aid that you people are paying for is too much. 200 and something thousand, 210 naira or so per kilowatt hour. It's too high. So we're going to cut it to about 180 once we start buying power ourselves. Here's the problem. The generating companies are saying that it costs 200 naira per kilowatt hour to generate electricity now. So if you are going to sell it for 180, there's a shortfall. Who is going to cover the shortfall? So they are saying now that the federal government is actually subsidizing our electricity. There is only band A that is like market value, but all the other bands, it costs 200 to produce it, and what we pay for it is much less. So government is covering the shortfall. That's why there is debt to all the Gencos, because they've not received, they receive less than what it costs them to generate it, and government is supposed to cover the shortfall. So the question that's being asked is, Enugu State, all the other states that have been approved to regulate their own power, how do they intend to make up the shortfall if they want to reduce the price? Remember, those states are not generating their own power. It's still the Gencos that are generating and that are now transmitting to the states to distribute. So if the Gencos are saying, look, it still costs us 200 naira per kilowatt hour to generate power, and that is what we will supply it to you at. If you care, it's not our problem. Go and sell it for 10 naira if you want. It's your business. The shortfall, you have to cover up for it. But the states, Enugu and some others, clearly don't have the money to use to pay the subsidy. So the fear is that shortfall is still going to be federal government's problem. And federal government has already owing, how much do you call it, 5 trillion. When we then now see money to now be paying extra money that is short from the states that are reducing the price. So this is the problem. And so I think because it's a new contraption, it still requires time for them to negotiate and let the dust settle about how at the federal level and at the local level things are going to work in a way that they don't conflict with each other. As of now, there's no clarity. The left hand does not know what the right hand is doing. The state is wanting to go about and run this thing on its own, but they are saying there are certain constraints all the way coming from the federal level and post-deregulation, post-privatization, when they privatize the power supply. So there needs to be some synchronicity and uniformity about how this thing is going to work, so that we don't continue to have this discrepancy.
Your argument that reducing consumer tariff now undermines recent reforms and could backfire on both states and the operators.
Yes, it's worrisome because the intent is noble. The intent is to bring succor to the populace. The intent is to reduce the hardship on people. As it is now, inflation is already making nonsense of our spending power. When you go to the market, when you go to buy petrol, when you pay for electricity, everything is expensive vis-a-vis how much we have in our pocket. So the intention of the state governments is noble. But there are other considerations, which is how much does it cost to generate the power? And if you now want to cut your tariff to be less than what the Gencos say they pay to generate, how is going to cover the shortfall? Where is the shortfall going to come? That's what a subsidy is. So are you, as a state, saying you are going to subsidize electricity for your people? And if so, where are you going to get the money from? So, what the Enugu government is saying is that they are going to negotiate power purchase, that they're going to sit down and negotiate with the Genco the price at which they will purchase. So maybe they'll be able to negotiate it to less than the 200, and the 180 that they want to charge can work. Maybe they have such bargaining power that they can get it for 150 or 160 from the Genco and provide it at 180 to the consumers in Enugu State, so that there's no shortfall, there's no subsidy. Maybe that's how it's going to work. I don't know. I'm not an energy expert, but from where I sit and what I've read since yesterday, there is a discrepancy between what the state wants to do and how it is going to achieve it. Because remember, the state does not generate the power itself. It has to buy it from somebody. And the person that's selling it or that's producing it says it's going to sell at X amount of naira. So there's a dichotomy, although the state government says it will address it. It's not a big deal that it's going to have a power purchasing agreement with the Genco, and from there it will be able to reduce the tariff for its people. So perhaps the state government is going to invest a lot more money in subsidizing electricity for people, because electricity is a factor of production that's critical. So perhaps they've looked at it and they felt like it's something worth spending money on, the same way you spend money on education, spend money on health, that might be worth spending money on subsidizing electricity for their people in terms of their overall development.
All right, let's move away from that. Now, the United States government has doubled down on its visa curb and immigration crackdown, threatening to pursue criminal charges against Nigerians who engage in fraud. Also, the United States Embassy in Abuja, has also advised American citizens living in Nigeria to sort out any visa problems before July 31st, or face serious penalties from the Nigerian government. So, what do you think about this move from the United States and also Nigerian government?
Well, that's what's called reciprocity. Do me, I do you, God, God no go vex. So America has said it that this is what. Bottom line is this: let's all respect the law. A visa given, whether by American given to Nigerians or by Nigerians given to Americans, at the end of the day, the period of time given to you on a visa, it's a law. And if you violate it, there are consequences. There's consequences for violating every law. So if they give you 6 months, if you need to stay 9 months, you should go and apply for an extension. Whether Americans in Nigeria or Nigerians in America, a visa is it's not a license. It's not a right. It's not. It's largesse. Although yes, of course, anybody who's going to another country is going to go and spend money there, so they want to welcome you because they know that they will benefit from your coming. But at the same time, they have rules in place. You can't say you are coming to visit and decide to stay. You can't say you are coming to visit, we give you 3 months and you stay 10 years. No, it's not supposed to be like that. So America has said, well, Nigerians, they've discovered a number of Nigerians who have overstayed their visa, and there will be penalties that will be enforced. That if you overstay for a short period of time, we'll give you a 2 or 3 year or 5 year ban. If you overstay for an extensive long period, we'll give you a lifetime ban. So the Nigerian government has looked at it and said, okay, we agree with you, but we will also do that to your people. Law is law all over the world. It's universal. So if Nigerians overstay in America and America takes a step to penalize us, then those Americans who come to Nigeria and overstay, we too have the right to penalize them. And that's what the government is saying, is that effective July 31, August 1st, or whatever, any American who overstays or who violates visa policy. Remember, as I said before, immigration, visa issuance, tenure of stay, these are all ironclad laws that should be respected by people of any country across the world anyway. So it's okay by me, as far as I'm concerned. If they give me 3 months visa, I won't stay 3 months and 1 day. That is the way I'm a respecter of the law. I won't stay 3 months. If I have cause to want to stay longer than the 3 months they gave me, there is a process to apply for an extension that will keep you legal. The worst thing you can do in any country, if you're a foreigner coming to Nigeria, do not stay 1 day more than we have allowed you to stay. If you need to stay longer, apply legally. Always be legal. The moment your problems begin is the moment you're out of status by 1 day. The moment you're out of status, you have no legal ground to stand on to make any claim whatsoever. You have no mouth to talk. You can't complain about any sanction. If you are out of status, you have no mouth to talk. So stand on the right side of the law and do the right thing, then your complaints are valid.
All right, so still talking about foreign news. This takes us to United Kingdom's Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch, who claimed that she was unable to pass on her Nigerian citizenship to her children because she is a woman. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I've read through Nigeria's constitution. I don't see anywhere where it says that a right of citizenship is patriarchal. That is only through your paternal line that citizenship accrues to any citizen. So I think she was probably either being economical with the truth or using hyperbole to galvanize her constituency. She's trying to make a career out of hard line on immigration because the UK is undergoing a tough time based on immigration. People from all over the world. Everybody wants to come to the UK. And you won't see people queuing up to go to France, to Germany, to Italy, the way they are queuing up to go to the UK. Why is that? Because the UK is the most open society, it's the most liberal, it has the most generous social welfare package in the entire world. If you are lucky to be a citizen of the UK, you have what they call cradle to grave government supports. All the way from your birth till you die, government will continue to support you. So everybody wants to go to the UK, everybody, because it's the one place that you are guaranteed a social safety net. You are guaranteed a social safety net in the UK. So they've got an immigration problem. That's the truth. There's probably more immigrants in the UK now than British people. Even though there's the argument that the British people themselves immigrated from somewhere in the beginning. So who owns which land anyway at the beginning of the day? Who are the first settlers? If you go back and look at the first settlers, there were people there before them as well. Yeah. So at the end of the day, whose land is it really? But Kemi is making a career for herself out of towing a hardline immigration policy because she recognizes the fact that Aboriginal English people, when I say Aboriginal, or original United Kingdom people, English, Scottish, British, Welsh, they are overwhelmed by the presence of foreign people in their midst who are taking over their governments, who are taking over politics, who are taking over education. They see different religions from the one that they know coming to suffuse the environment. So there's a fear among white Anglo-Saxon Protestant Oyibo people. There's a fear. Whether that fear is real or imagined, it's for them to know or for them to say. But clearly there's a fear, and Kemi is playing to that fear. The conservative movement is being hardline on immigration because they know that the typical Anglo-Saxon Protestant Oyibo man is really, really concerned about the influx of foreigners into their country. So she's not playing to her base. The conservative Oyibo people who are in the rural areas of the UK, not those in London, not in Manchester, Birmingham, Edinburgh, no. The base, conservative base, the real proper conservative white people, they are in the suburbs. That's the base of the Conservative Party. That's who they are talking to by being hardline on immigration. What's she saying? She's saying, look, let's review this birthright citizenship because there are people who emigrate here, come have their children here, and the children become automatic citizens. There are people who come here to visit, stay for 5 years, they file some paper, they get citizenship immediately. So people are drawing benefits left and right and this and that. And that in other countries is not like that. So she used Nigeria as an example. And look at Nigeria, for example. My own children can't get citizenship because I'm a woman and my husband is British. But people have done the research and says it's a lie. Nigerian constitution has never said that any of your parents, as long as one of your parents is Nigerian, whether the mother or the father, as long as one of your parents is Nigerian, you will get Nigerian citizenship even if you were born in another country. That's what people are saying between yesterday and today, who have read the constitution, who have read immigration law, and who know about these things. So it seems like Kemi, I don't want to say it was peddling fake news, but it seems like she was wrong about that assertion. But that doesn't take away from her larger point, which is that they need to put some curbs on immigration to stop it from getting out of hand in the UK.
All right, let's end this on a lighter note with Mr. and Mrs. this morning. And the first person speaking is Mrs. Mrs. says, you always make me laugh with your rib cracking jokes. Mr. is like, anything for my rib. And Mrs. says, meaning? Mr. replied, God created you for my rib, so I will do anything for my rib.
Oh, isn't that touching? Yes.
It's romantic. I guess women love hearing this.
Of course, now very romantic. So I say, oh, that's
sweet. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Dayo, this morning.
Pleasure always. Thank you.
Yes, do want to like and follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. You can also visit our website, www.vanguardangr.com. My name is Damola.